it's Angel. Today we're going to be making Japanese milk bread, also known as Hokkaido milk bread, and the bread is super light, soft, and fluffy. If you've ever been to an Asian bakery, you'll know what I'm talking about. We're going to be using the Tangzhong Method, which is a milk roux. More on that later, but that's what makes the bread light and fluffy. And we're going to be making this in my bread machine. A quick shout out to Cuckoo for sponsoring today's video. We're going to be using their bread machine for today's recipe. So if you guys are interested in how to make Japanese milk bread, keep watching. For the ingredients, we'll need some bread flour. Make sure you're using bread flour and not all-purpose flour. I'm using 2.5 cups of bread flour plus 2 tablespoons for the milk roux. We will also need 1 whole egg, 1 tablespoon of instant yeast, 1/4 cup of cane sugar, 2 tablespoons of dried powdered milk, 3 tablespoons of water, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of the whole milk, plus 3 tablespoons for the roux, and finally 1/4 cup of melted butter, unsalted. So now we're gonna make the tangzhong, which is the milk roux. I've got a saucepan right here. I'm going to turn it on low. Perfect. Make sure your saucepan is on low because we don't want to burn it. We are going to add 3 tablespoons of water. Next, measure out 3 tablespoons of whole milk, 2, 3, and finally 2 tablespoons of the bread flour. Now we'll just go ahead and whisk that all in. And we want to make sure that there's no clumps left. And you'll notice that this will start to thicken after a while. So whisk this until it starts to thicken, and that could be about 1 to 2 minutes on a gas stove, maybe 3 to 5 if you have a electric burner. Once it's thickened, turn off the heat, and we're gonna set this aside in a dish and let that cool, and we're gonna add this to our bread machine. Perfect. Now we have our roux, and we're gonna let that cool while we measure out the other ingredients. Next, we're going to melt 4 tablespoons of butter. So I'm just going to put this in a microwave. Now that we have all the ingredients prepped, let's talk about the bread machine. If you guys haven't used a bread machine before, it's super convenient to use. Not only does it help knead the dough, but it also bakes the bread right in the machine itself. So inside all bread machines, there is an insert here. And this is the bread pan, and this is the paddle. This will help knead the dough together. This bread machine from Cuckoo actually has 15 preset settings, which is great. There is a timer feature on it, so it's a time delay. So if you want to make bread in the mornings, you can set it for a morning cook time. There's also 3 loaf sizes and 3 crust options. So you can have light, medium, or dark bread. And there's an automatic fruit and nut dispenser, which is right here. It's kind of cool. So if you want to add raisins or walnuts to your bread, that's a really good feature as well. Japanese milk bread is not actually a sweet bread, but it's a little bit sweet, so I'm going to be using the sweet option here. So the first thing we'll want to do in a bread machine is add the liquid ingredients first. So we have the butter. I'll add that in. Next, we will add 1/2 cup of the whole milk, 1 whole egg, and I'm just going to dump this right in. There's no need to beat the egg. Next, I'll add the roux that we made earlier. It's slightly warm, which is perfect. We'll just add that right in. Now, after we've added all the liquid ingredients, we will add the dry ingredients right on top, starting with the bread flour. This is 2.5 cups of bread flour right here. So try to get the bread flour to cover up all of the liquid ingredients. Next are 2 tablespoons of dried powdered milk, 1/4 cup of the cane sugar. Now we'll measure out 1 teaspoon of salt. And finally, last, always last is the dry instant yeast. So I'm going to put that right on top of all the other ingredients. Now that all the ingredients are in there, just close the lid, and I'm going to use the sweetbread setting, and it's a weight of 1 pound. And I'm going to go on the lightest color, because I like a lighter bread. Now it's set for 3 hours and 35 minutes, and that includes the dough kneading, the rising, and also the baking. And I personally like the bread a little bit on the lighter side, so I will come in and usually check about 10 minutes before it's supposed to be done and decide whether or not I want to take it out at that time. So let's go ahead and start this. All right, it started, and I want to show you what this machine is doing, so come take a look. Pretty cool, huh? So now we're going to check back in on this in about 3.5 hours. I'll see you guys in a bit. Now it's about 5 minutes before when it was supposed to be done, but I think it's dark enough, so I'm just going to take it out early and we can check it out. Wow, it smells really good. Now we're just gonna cool the bread. I'm just gonna tilt it. And it's a non-stick inner pan, which is nice. So that came out really easily. It's pretty nice. It smells so good, and it's got a nice crust that's kind of light golden brown, which is just how I like it. So what we're going to do is we're gonna let this cool for about 20 to 30 minutes, and once it's cool, we'll slice right into it. Now that our milk bread is cool enough to cut, I'm just going to come over to the cutting board. We will cut the bread and slice them into thick slices because I like thick slices. Wow, it's really soft and fluffy. So just so you guys can see, this is a slice of the bread, and check out how soft and light and fluffy that is. This is definitely because we use the Tangzhong Method for the milk roux. Super soft, can't wait to try this with butter. This is great. I love how you can make this bread at home in the bread machine. It was not that hard of a thing to do, especially with the bread maker. And if you're interested in this bread maker, I'll leave a link in the video description. This is actually from Costco. It smells so good, and I can't wait to try it. Now, let's do the taste test. I've got a couple slices right here, and since it's fresh, I don't need to toast it again, but if it wasn't, I would have toasted my slice. And I'm just gonna put some butter on. The bread's so soft here. And just take a bite. Wow, that's so light and fluffy. It's super soft. Definitely like really, really Asian style bread. And I taste a little bit of like the hints of milk and cream in there. Even though we didn't use cream, it still tastes kind of creamy, and that's why they call it Japanese milk bread. Super delicious. One more bite, guys. I'm Angel. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to check out today's sponsor, Cuckoo. I will post the link in the video description. And as my grandpa would say, sharing a meal with a fascinating stranger is one of life's true delights. So until we can share some Japanese milk bread together, take care, I love you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.